Obama issued an executive order specifically disavowing torture and closing CIA secret detention sites. The problem is he did not specifically repudiate rendition. A task force that was specifically set up by that executive order to review interrogation and transfer policy issued a report in August of 2009, but that report continues to be withheld to date. So we don't know what the official policies and practices are with respect to rendition. The other problem is that we don't know what, if any, plans there are to ensure that there is going to be accountability and further transparency with respect to these issues.
The policy you're describing is the extraordinary renditions. You're not talking about legally due processed, the return of Guantanamo prisoners to host countries. You're not talking about extradition processes. You're talking about grabbing, snatching a suspect, and then delivering that person to, that used to be to Syria or to Egypt. Those leaders are no longer there, or those regimes no longer in full control, but to countries where they were then interrogated with techniques that had been disavowed and made illegal by the U.S.
I'm talking about extraordinary rendition, which means the transfer without legal process of a detainee to another government for purposes of detention and interrogation. And under the Bush administration, we know that spawned basically an enormous amount of torture in the custody of governments like Egypt, Syria, Jordan, and so on. We don't know what the policies of the current government are.
I know that I was involved in the case of a Canadian citizen who was grabbed at JFK, brought to Syria. It's extraordinary when we think about it now, turned over to the Assad government to be, quote, interrogated. And with the cooperation of the U.S. government, it led to a famous lawsuit and a lot of problems and questions in the Canadian Parliament as well. How much of this do you think is still going on? What is your investigation showing?
Well, our investigation shows that 54 governments were complicit during the Bush administration's CIA secret detention and extraordinary rendition program. The fact that 54 governments were complicit and as many as 126 individuals were specifically documented in this report just calls into question what are the policies of the current administration. We don't know. Those still remain secret. Those need to be disclosed to the public. The task force report needs to be disclosed. The Senate Select Committee on Intelligence report needs to be disclosed. All of these issues must be up for public review and debate.
What questions would you want to hear the Senate ask of John Brennan when he comes before the Senate Intelligence Committee for confirmation hearings on Thursday afternoon?
Well, it's very interesting. John Brennan, in December of 2005, specifically said that he was intimately familiar with cases of rendition and specifically said that it was an absolutely vital tool in combating terrorism. So I think the obvious question to ask John Brennan is, what did he mean by those statements? What policies would he put in place now? And what is he going to do to ensure that there is continuing transparency with respect to these issues so the public can comment?
Amrit Singh, thank you very much. Thanks for